This conference will now be recorded.
Thank you for being a part of the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation for Freedom, Family, and Faith in celebration of marriage. And now we'll hand it over to Father Tony for a prayer.
Hi, everyone. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Our Lord, pray for us. Let us pray. We now pray, Almighty God, that all the couples in the world, we take a very realistic look at how they present themselves to others, that they will look at how their behaviors and self-doubts limit their relationships, and that they will be willing to be led by you, Spirit of God, to make the changes they need to make in order to grow deeper and deeper and deeper in their love relationships. And I would suggest to you, great, great lovers, wherever you are now at this moment, please say daily, yes, dear. Say daily, I love you, hon. Say daily, sorry, I made a boo-boo. Amen, amen, amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. I love you all. Cleveland, Ohio. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Little New York. And where else? And St. Petersburg. That's moi. Okay. Here I am. Sorry I was late for 1 minute. But I was talking to two couples about love, love, love. Forgive, forgive, forgive. Share, share, share. That's why I was 2 minutes late. Okay. Next time I'll be on time. Right on time. Okay, Master. You are taken away, Master.
Okay. Well, Ann, go ahead. You can start. Just
Yes, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for Ken and Rose and Barb, Pat, Father Ken, Father Tony. This is being brought to you by the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation for Freedom, Family, and Faith. Our mission is to outreach to all families and people who would like to come closer to Christ through the Catholic Church and through our Mercedarian religious order. So thank you to everyone. And we have a special presentation tonight, which has to do with marriage and has to do with marriage encounter. And that's what we're going to discuss. So before I begin, I just want to say, please, for anyone listening, this is on YouTube. It'll also be on SoundCloud. And look for us at nonnatus.org. And also our social media presence is under Philly Mercedarian. So look for us on all the social media platforms, as well as St. Ray Foundation. And we would love to be friends with you. So please email at director.srnf@gmail.com. And now I'm going to hand it over to Father Ken.
Okay. Well, we're so happy to be here, and we wanted to have all of us together to talk about our experience of marriage encounter because this particular week, I believe from February 7th to 14th, is dedicated by the bishops to celebrate marriage. So what better way than to talk about the experience couples have to strengthen their marriage through marriage encounter. And so Father Tony has been a leader couple. I've experienced it, and my parents have been involved in it, and Pat and Barb have also been involved in it very much. So we really like them to share their experiences. If we want to just go around and tell how each of us got involved in it. I don't know who would be the one who went on it first. Can anyone tell who went on it first?
Your parents.
My parents went on first.
Definitely Rose and Ken, for sure.
Well,
Okay.
that was 1980, Father Tony.
I wasn't born yet.
That's a good one.
That's a good
one. Well, we got slowly started into marriage encounter because we had a lot of little children at that time. And so we kind of held off getting it very involved. However, then the children grew, and we found that we had time available, and then we were asked to be a marriage encounter, a reservation couple. And we thought we were only going to be that for about 4 years because that was the previous couple that did it, only to find that we were continuing until 17 years.
Wow.
And I
That's
got
wonderful.
to be 80 years old, and I said, I think I better step out
Yeah,
and let the young people get involved.
yeah,
So
yeah.
here we are. But
Yeah.
thanks to Pat and Barb, they continue the dialogue support group, and we are still enjoying that, a fundamental involvement with the beautiful dialogue experience. And Barb does a marvelous job, and so does Pat.
Yeah.
And just have a warm, loving home,
Yeah.
and lots of people that come there.
Now, Pat and Barb, can you hear us okay?
Yep.
Can hear fine.
Okay, great. Your screen is frozen, so if you wanted to turn off your video and turn it back on again, it might
Really?
reset. Yeah, we can't see any change in it right now, or at least I can. Can you see it all right, Ann?
We can see it fine.
Okay, fine. Then it must be mine. But hey, could you share your experience?
Uh-oh, now turn it back on because we
Oh,
lost.
yeah.
Where
Okay.
did
Oh,
Barb-
sorry about that. That's a technical problem. Okay.
Off completely. They're
Okay,
not-
are we back?
No, we're
I don't
off.
know.
Did you say we're off?
Are we?
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
Can you see them, Mom and Dad?
No, they're not on the
You have
screen
to
at
call
all.
them on
I
your
I can see them, but nothing moves.
Nothing moves. Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
Well,
can see them. Yes.
okay.
okay.
They
Okay.
are.
We
Why
can
don't we-
see them fine, and they're waving their hands.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Then,
Good.
yeah,
Okay.
then why don't you just share about your experience now? Don't worry about that technical problem, okay?
Okay.
So anyway, we, in 2002, there was all kinds of stuff going on. My mom had just been diagnosed with Parkinson's, and it was a very sad situation in our family. I died and was brought back to life and had a whole year of recuperation. Patrick was forced into early retirement, all kinds of things. We were building a 3-story addition, and we just happened to go, St. Christopher's was our church, and they had this, advertisement about marriage encounter. And I thought, oh, wonderful, just what we need, a nice, quiet, peaceful retreat like we had, back in high school days.
Yeah.
Well, Patrick is a good writer. He likes to write. I do not. If I would have ever known it had anything to do with writing, I would not have gone. But we wound up going, and it really was a life-changing experience. The first person I talked to register was this wonderful woman, Rose Breen. She was so calming and loving and inviting. And it's
That was
like, okay, like just for a moment, like all the horrible things that were happening in my family kind of melted away. And she was just really reassuring. And we wound up going. And then I thought we were just going to have like a quiet little, contemplating our navel kind of time. And then they said, oh, we're going to write and write and write. And anyway, but it really was wonderful, and it continues to be wonderful. A lot of it has to do with the Breens, because they come to our house every month, and they are our mentors, and we have people from like early 20s to our age and Rose and Ken's age, and we've been on to conventions and have traveled together, and it's just been it's really family. It's truly family, not blood, but they're more family than a lot of the people in our family, actually.
Yeah.
And I'd like to say that the strongest part of the Marriage Encounter program is the getting down to, well, they tell you to share your feelings, and you can't share your feelings till you know what your feelings are. So for me, it was a lot of self-examination to find out what my feelings were, because I didn't have feelings.
Cool. I was kind of that way.
Yeah. So just the getting deeper into yourself and your understanding of your relationship is the really important part for me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, that's great. And
And-
we'll
and
take
traveling-
some. Yeah.
And
we'll
traveling
have,
with the Prince too has been a really interesting experience. We had Father Jack Crayson in the very beginning, and he literally turned into be almost like a brother or a father figure to Patrick. Patrick lost his dad when he was only 11. So he kind of filled this gap of a man with integrity and dignity in his life. It was very, very heartwarming, and we were sad to lose him. But anyway, it's been wonderful to get to know so many priests throughout the Marriage Encounter community also.
Yeah, now that Father Jack Creation, he was at the Blessed Sacrament down the street from St. Rocco's. Is that correct? In those many years?
Bernadette.
He was at St. Ignatius and St. Christopher's and St. Bernadette's. He was real St. Luke's. He was when we met him, he was at St. Luke's.
But at the end, he was definitely Holy Name.
Then it must be a different father than I know. Okay. Well, that's great. Well, it's so precious to have this experience of fathers. Yes, definitely. I'm sorry, I don't remember exactly the date. I'm pretty sure that I did my marriage account experience in Cleveland. Do you remember, Mom and Dad, anything about that? I'm pretty sure I did it then because I was invited by at the parish I was serving at down in St. Petersburg at the time. It was I was there from 86 to 91. There was a parish I was helping out at St. Matthew's, and it was just so beautiful to see how so many of the couples in the parish were marriage encounter couples, and it just brings out such a loving environment, you know, to see all these couples that are encountered, and it was just really amazing. So I definitely said I would be willing to go on a weekend and be part of it. But at that time, because I was in ministry with the Kairos ministry, I didn't feel I could do it. So when I had my next assignment was in Cleveland, that's when I went on my marriage encounter weekend. And it was a great experience to understand how to grow in these aspects of relationship and sharing feelings, especially in the letter writing format. It even helped me a lot in my religious life. Sometimes when I had difficulties in community, sometimes I thought, oh, this is a nice way, you know, write a letter, because then you can express those thoughts more concretely. And I think in some ways it helped. I don't know, some ways maybe it was because we weren't using the proper format, which means both write at the same time. You have to do both at the same time and share. Otherwise, it becomes lopsided. So that's an important aspect, that you really have to encounter the weekend to experience what it means. So that's one thing that I learned. How about you, Tony? When did you start?
Okay, I was working St. Jude the first time around from 84 to 90, and sometime spring of 90, Father Harry Brown from Ohio, the little guy. Very strong in family, very strong in marriage encounter relationships. I was helping out at the time from St. Jude here in Notre Dame High School, which was still, the building was still going on. And we did a pre-Cana. Almost every month we had a pre-Cana. And he would call me to do maybe a talk or hear confessions to the couples. And then Morton once said, Tony, you have to do a marriage encounter. I said, Father Harry Brown, I am not married. I cannot do a marriage encounter anymore. I'm a single priest for the rest of my life, I hope. I cannot do marriage encounter. I don't have a wife next to me. And he said, well, the church is your wife, you dummy. So after a while, he twisted my arm so many times that actually sometime in the beginning of May of 1990, I went, thanks to him, I went to Franciscan Center here in Tampa somewhere, and I did the marriage encounter the first time in my life, and wow, was I impressed. Was I for surprises, because, you know, you religious men, religious life, deal with men all day long. I mean, you don't have the soft touch of a woman, so to speak. And you can see the big word in marriage encounter is a dialogue. And you well know, I think St. Benedict, in his rule for the monks, the Benedictine monks, he would define dialogue, ars amoris, the art of love. So only those people who are in love are able to dialogue with each other. And you husbands and wives, I see you doing such a wonderful job when you talk to each other. what we call it a 10 and 10 on the daily basis, that actually you put harsh religious men to shame, because let's face it, I mean, I have to say mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. We don't know how to dialogue nicely, gently, and listen to one another. Wait your turn to talk and not just jump your guns and say whatever is coming to your mind. I mean, and then you're going to make all kinds of boo-boos, and we're afraid to say, oops, I'm sorry, forgive me, I still love you, okay? So that was my experience in marriage encounter. I did the deeper in Chicago, Illinois, that particular winter time, and guess what? Here was 75 in Tampa. I went to Chicago, Illinois, it was lousy 30 degrees, and that night I thought I was going to die. And I said, oh my God, no one knows I am here dying in Chicago. What's going to happen to me? Where are they going to bring my body? I want my little body all the way to Rocca Imperiale Cosenza, next to my parents. Well, I said, forget it. You're down in Chicago. They're going to put you somewhere in a little box, and that will be the end of Tony Fortunato. Well, thank God it did not happen just yet. I'm still here, kicking nicely. Thank to the mighty God, and thank to Our Lady Mercy. Okay? Enough for now?
Well, but you've also given many, many weekends as a presenting father, too.
At least twice a year in Cleveland, twice a year in Philadelphia, once a year, and here in Florida also about twice a year. In fact, right now I'm scheduled to do another weekend, hopefully in July, at Franciscan Center in Tampa.
That's terrific. Wonderful. And I want to just, before moving on to some other experiences, I want to share this picture here, if you can see it, okay? It's Father Arcangelo Manzi. See the picture, okay? I think he's also very much involved in marriage encounters. Is that right, Tony?
Yes, very much.
I want to make sure he's in Cleveland, Ohio. And I don't know, Pat and Barb, do you see him at all?
Mount Carmel.
Yes, he's at Our Lady Mount Carmel in Cleveland.
So we actually go to the 6 o'clock. We go at 5:30 for the rosary and weekdays. 5:30 rosary and mass at 6 o'clock. So we actually get to see him quite a bit, and we invite him every single month. He's on our email list to come to our house. But unfortunately, he has not been able to come because there's a lot of stuff going on. There's so many programs that Mount Carmel has, to their credit.
Right.
But unfortunately, their blessing is our curse, unfortunately, because he hasn't been able to be here. But we do see him, and actually a couple times we've been sitting there at mass, and who comes walking in the door? Then Ken and Rose Breen, and so we all get together and go back and talk to him a little bit.
That's great. That's great. And so I just wanted to, since our foundation is really, we're dedicated to supporting all these good things that help with family life. I mean, how can we, not say about all of us that have been involved? I was asked to go on a weekend, but I don't remember exactly, deeper. I don't remember exactly the reasons I didn't get to accomplish that. I know God's plan for me personally was to be in India for many years, and I knew I couldn't do it. I couldn't do marriage encounter as a presenter priest in India all those years because I don't know that language. It would be impossible. But I have thought of trying to do it, but now I'd have to do another weekend itself and then go on the deeper. So I hope that maybe in the near future that maybe open up as a possibility when the Indian fathers are here and can get a bit of time together to do that, and then there'll be an opportunity. And I know that my future is going to be involved in some ministry in Puerto Rico, and I would just hope that somehow we can make that part of what is offered there to the people as well. So the other thing that I really enjoyed was experiencing the conventions. So I'm curious now how many mom and dad experiences. That's when all these marriage encounter couples come together. And it was really exciting for me to go out to Los Angeles, be there for this big convention. And I don't know how many Mom and Dad went on, Pat and Barb. I don't know how many Tony went on these
I
conventions.
went to the last one. I was with your parents and in Wisconsin, north of Chicago. In fact, they drove me nicely. Your father is the best driver in the world, by the way. You are too fast, by the way. You make me nervous when you drive.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
of course.
your
Yeah.
father was nice and cool, and we got there on time. And then your mother, a very religious woman, she loves Mary very, very much so. That actually, at the end of the convention, she suggested to your father, the driver, and of course to me too, but I was not driving. So he said, let's go to north of the state now, by Ashland or so, whatever was it, way up north of the state of Wisconsin. There's a shrine in honor of Our Lady. We go there, pray, turn around, and go back to Cleveland. Well, I thought a couple hours we're going to be there, a couple hours back to Cleveland. We've been Cleveland about 10 p.m. or so. Guess what? We got in our little Montgomery West Best about 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh,
and I
my
had to be up
goodness.
at 7 o'clock to pray together with the other brothers. So your parents, I'm sure, they were not up at 7 o'clock a.m. Okay? So, I mean, it was nice, but a bit too much for my little body. But he's the great driver, by the way. And your mother was saying, rosary after rosary, so we reached the destination, no problem whatsoever. A bit late, but we made it because she was praying the rosary to Our Lady of Mercy. And that does it, by the way. The devotion to Mary does it.
Yeah.
And Father Tony, we actually, we also went up to Champion, Wisconsin, at the same time as you did with at that convention. And we had our marriage encounter circle last night. And one of the pictures, because we pray for you and the different priests, so we have pictures out. So other people that don't know you guys personally will know who you are. And actually the picture that I had on the table that everybody was looking at was you doing the tango with Rose.
Was I a good dancer?
Excellent. You really put your whole, it was very passionate.
Oh my God! Well, after all, everything we do once you are in the marriage encounter, everything with passion, with love, and I love understanding and passion and more passion.
But I think the stuff, you know, you were talking about going up into Wisconsin to Our Lady of Good Help Shrine that was up in Champion, Wisconsin. And that was very significant, Father Tony, to do that, because that is the recognized shrine in the United States, a Marian shrine that was established through the Vatican. You know, the saint there, Saint Adele. So I think
yes, it would be the recognized shrine for you know, a Marian miracle type of thing, because the National Shrine to the Immaculate Conception is also a shrine, and it is certainly recognized. It's the, you know, and of course our country is dedicated to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. But what's distinct about the one that you're talking about in Wisconsin, I think, is because of a Marian experience.
Yes.
Something of a revelation or some a miracle. Yeah.
The miracles that we attributed to it is why.
Yeah.
Because they had to go through all the due diligence, you know, with Rome, doing all the inspections and the forensics and everything, and they found that there was no regular reason that this would have happened. They were attributing it had to be a miracle because there was no other reason for it.
No other way to explain it. Yeah, that's right.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, so that and one of the things that coming together for, I think the one that was Mom and Dad and I went to in Los Angeles was, I think the theme was forgiveness. Do you remember what I think it was forgiveness, and it was beautiful to reflect on and how important it is. I mean, every convention usually has an overriding theme. How many have you been on, Mom and Dad? Do you remember?
We lost count.
We lost count.
We only have T-shirts from the occasion.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Have to pull all them out.
Yeah. Then you have to count them all.
Got worn out too.
Yes.
Okay.
We
How about for you?
Probably at least 10 of them.
we don't have a T-shirt for every single one, but we were just trying to figure out just the states and cities that we've been to. We're probably at least 6.
At least 6. Okay.
Yeah, there's 6 that we can kind of think of, and there may be others that we've kind of forgotten. I'll have to, if I go through all my books, I'll figure it all out.
Yeah. Do you have a particular memory of one in particular that stands out above the others?
The very first, because Rose and Ken and Cheryl and Terry O'Malley said, "Oh, you guys should go to a convention." My dad was an accountant. He went to conventions all the time, and I thought it was just for old, stuffy, crazy, different businesses or something. So I did not think it was going to be fun. We wound up going. We had a very a horrendous, memorable experience because in all the we're not used to Chicago traffic. This was in
2000.
Oh boy, do I remember going to Chicago. Those bridges are everywhere.
And we sat in traffic for so long and rode the brakes for so long. Then we finally got our speed going, and we were getting to a toll booth, and Pat let out I won't say the swear word that he said, but and I thought, what the heck? And he's trying to gear down because our car, we were going like 80 miles an hour, and our car wasn't going to stop. But it was like the parting of the Red Sea, no brakes whatsoever. And somehow we managed to get over 5 lanes of traffic, and then we went through the gate. Well, the gate was not, thank God, was up.
Which they had just opened.
And we stopped further down, and we went back and we said, "We're really sorry, but we don't have any brakes." So they had to tow us to the convention.
82 miles.
82 miles. Wow. But when we walked in, and then the hotel that we were staying at happened to be right in share the same parking lot as the place that they were going to be able to fix our brakes. So we thought that was an intervention by God. Yeah, so we left our car on one side of the parking lot, and then we went over for the next 3 days over to the facility. But we walked in. We were a little bit late, just not too late, but we walked in, and it was breathtaking because there was like this sea of like 4,000 people and different. I mean, it felt like you were at a United Nations festival or something. Like every country and ethnic, background imaginable, and in their costumes and their, in their native garb. It was incredible.
Was that an international one then, you think?
Yes.
Yeah. There's different ones. There's national, and then there's international. Right. When we went to Los Angeles, was that national or international?
International.
And Florida had an international convention also.
In Tampa. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. A big contingency was from Korea, and there were people from Paris and England and Australia and New Zealand. It was amazing to know that all those people, we all had the same common denominator. We were all brought together because we cherished family and married life. It was incredible.
It was just fantastic. Yeah.
National one I can remember vividly was about a few years ago, the one in Bethany Center here in Tampa by the Diocesan Retreat House. And I was so happy because I think at the time I was living in Cleveland, if I'm not mistaken. And so I had a chance to come back to Florida, much to my delight. So we were able to be there, and it was great. And we went to Bethany Center, which I knew the place already before. And I met the other priests here from the area and the couples, which I met way back. So in other words, it was a friendly move for me to be with them, to share our intentions, to share our experiences of Cleveland, because in Cleveland I was able to do so twice a year, and I went to once a month with my group. So in other words, was really get together and to talk about marriage at the best sense of the word.
Yeah, and even more about where each person is. I mean, that's what the beauty of the marriage encounter is, that you are sharing about dialogue questions that help you to see where you're at. And I asked Mom and Dad to if you have a couple there with you, just to give you a clue of some of these questions that help us to reflect, and like we would have questions, and then also describe in loving detail, and also how does my answer make me feel, and things like that, so that we could really enter into the beauty of the experience and understand each other. Do you have any particular questions there?
Yes, I do here. We would have a calendar, and the questions would be on a calendar, and the questions really are designed for you to kind of learn more about your spouse. You actually write a love letter addressing to your spouse, and you're basing it on a question, and it's what we call a 10 and 10. You're supposed to spend 10 minutes of writing and then 10 minutes of sharing. And I'll give you just a couple examples of some questions that we might write on. Here's one here. This is one. Which is harder, admitting hurt or asking forgiveness?
Wow.
And we would say, how do I feel about that? So then you would share the feelings on that. Another one would be, do petty things bug me? That's a nice one. Do petty things bug me? How do I feel about my answer on that?
Yeah.
Here's just another one. These are just a couple. Another one here. How do I feel knowing God loves me unconditionally? Unconditionally.
Yeah. Those are beautiful.
We would do this, and it's important that when we have a calendar and you pick a question, you go by the day, and you go at that question regardless of whether you like it or not.
Yeah, I really can draw out more of you and what needs to grow in.
You'll learn to know more about your spouse this way. So that really
helps.
We did it daily for about 20 years.
Wow. It was Rose's wonderful. We were at Father Lee's church, and we were all sitting there and talking. And Rose suggested that we really try. I think it was during Lent. She said, even if you haven't been dialoguing, try at least for the next 40 days to do this. And then her wise sage advice was, and some of the questions are going to sound stupid maybe, or silly, or, not relevant. And she said, but sometimes you'll be surprised, because some of the things that you thought were the silliest actually bring out the most interesting conversation. So she said, make sure you do every single question just the way it is, even if you don't think it's a good question. She said, just go for it and trust God. And we did, and it was true.
Very true.
And it was great, right?
It was great.
And I love her for that too.
Good. Yeah, that was a nice kiss. Very good. I give you the blessing for the nice kiss you did each other right now. Okay, but for me in Cleveland, when Father Ken too was there in Cleveland for those 3 years in Mount Carmel, every Saturday about 10 o'clock we got together with the Jesuit priest from John Carey University. I forgot his name.
Yeah, he was the one that gave the weekend. Yeah, I remember that now.
And then Father Jack Father Jack at the time was at St. James in Lakewood. And then Father Marine and Father Vincenzo would pop in. And what we did was very, very important for us priests. One of us had the gospel of the following Sunday, which was the day after. And then we did a little share about it. We did not write much about it, by the way. But we went on and on for about a good hour. And then we'll, if the priests were able to stay with us, we will offer them a little luncheon. Saturday, I know just like here, Saturday and Sunday, we have no cook. So you have to improvise and become a cook yourself. Forget about me. I never cooked in my life. I can just do a tea and the Cheerios in the morning for my breakfast. And but anyhow, someone would cook something for us, and we invited 2 visiting priests to share with us a little something to eat. And from time to time, they would surprise us, say, "Yeah, we will stay with you guys and have a little lunch with you." But the main thing is, we went the gospel the following Sunday, and we talked about it. Nice reflection. So that was great, because the following day, when you went to church to preach, you already had the sermon already down packed, so to speak, because the good brothers that will give you great insights. And Father Kenneth Breen was always the best one to give us a nice thought for the day. And, you know, he's a very spiritual-minded priest, and that's been a master of technology.
I think you got it way, Pat. I think you got it way. You have me way beat. No problem. But the beauty is that it helps us to understand more about being brothers in our religious life and as fathers. And I know it was, I'm sure it was for those fathers, a moment of enrichment, because as priests, we're also still human beings. So we need to be able to open up and share about things, what's going on in our hearts and our lives, and be able to talk about those things and dialogue about those things and our feelings and experience. And unless we do those things, then we can have some problems and some risks in life, just like families and married couples. If they are not communicating, they're not sharing their feelings, they can have big problems, simply because of that, breakdown of communication. I've always remembered Tony always saying about communication, right?
Yeah, and dialogue. And share feelings, because us men, living with other men in all of our houses, we are afraid from time to time to share our inner gut feelings to one another. Because you say, well, after all, you are a man. You say, man never cries. Who said so? It's not written in the Bible. So we are afraid to show our feelings and emotions to one another because, well, we are a bunch of men and we're supposed to be tough and, tough dudes. So we don't share feelings because we don't cry. Or we might laugh from time to time, but share feelings, no way, man. You don't do those things. That's too bad, by the way. I should suggest a few times for our further information when we do so in June or July to have someone from the marriage encounter community to enlighten us with their thoughts and about the feelings and emotions. And so far, I mean, okay, no, I don't want to point no fingers for heaven's sake. Who am I? But I mean, well, so far we didn't do that. In a sense, that's too bad because we can actually learn from the couples who are in marriage encounter because they know it, how to say it to each other. I love you, honey, forgive me, and yes, dear, and all the beautiful stuff. And when you make a boo-boo, just say, recognize the fact, well, I am a human being, because we say in Italian, anche il prete sbaglia sull'altare, which means in English, even the priest makes boo-boos on the altar. Yesterday I was saying mass here at St. Matthew, and I said, and I made a boo-boo there, and then I was not afraid to say to the people of God, maybe they didn't notice I made a boo-boo. I said, sorry, I made a boo-boo. And they said, just pray for me because, after all, I'm still a sinner. Papa Francesco would be delighted to hear from me that, oh, Tony, you are a sinner too. Enjoy the crowd. We are a bunch of sinners, all of us. No more, no less.
Sure. So that's really true that in our religious life, we do have something what we call like a revision of life. And it's kind of like a more formal way of for us to try to get together and look at our life and try to share about some area where we might like to grow or where there might be a struggle. And without having this format, that's in Marriage Encounter, of being able to express about a question and reflect on it and dialogue on it with our brothers, sometimes our revision, we just kind of never get around to it sometimes, I think, in our religious life. Even though we have a structure there, we have a program for it, I think we, like Tony is saying, would really benefit a lot from Marriage Encounter experiences and dialogue and communication would really enrich us. And I often thought about that too. But, all we can do is just suggest and hope for the best. But it is a wonderful experience for us all. Mom and Dad, I remember when you did go on yours, how it was such a deepening experience. Do you remember what that was? Can you describe that first weekend? That like how things made life a little bit more romantic for you after your first weekend?
Well, believe it or not, that weekend for me was a kind of a exposure of my life, and in so doing, I went through a lot of turmoil of having to go through that. It was kind of hard on me, and I came away from the weekend with a terrible headache. Like,
Yeah, it was like a migraine headache she had.
and
Because you are delving into feelings that are really deep. And so
Yeah.
it does affect you. She was really affected. And, you know, like that 90 minutes where you continue to write.
Yeah.
Right.
You know.
They've
So-
reduced it to 60 minutes, you
Yeah,
know.
but this is an example. So it's a very
Yeah.
good, it's a
Well,
very good trial, the first one. Other ones that we attended, since we knew what was going to be happening, we had a much more pleasant experience. Okay.
Yeah.
But,
Well, how many other ones did you go on?
Pardon? We went.
Oh, you mean?
We
Oh,
went
that's
to other marriage encounter weekends, even with Barb and Pat. Remember?
Oh, okay.
Barb and Pat. We did make about, I'd say about 3 or 4 marriage encounter weekends.
Oh, more than that.
At least, indeed, we attended, not conventions, but weekends that we attended. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I have to mention this, that I remember after the weekend, it's the first time, Mom, I saw you ever want to play ping pong down with us in the basement. I remember that because it was like, you know, just a relief or just something new. I mean, some change there that I thought was, I just remember that always in my, do you remember doing that at all?
Well, she didn't.
I played ping pong when I was in my my youth, that is like high school and older.
Right.
But after marriage, of course,
it was too hard. Yeah.
Right.
I was juggling balls, but not ping pongs.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
But if you recall it, Ken, then she did it, and she was probably really grateful. It was probably a great relief for her to be able to do that from what she went through on the weekend. Because she had a headache.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree with Rose. Like we did the weekend, and at the end of the weekend, it was so emotionally draining. Like you said, that the Rose, the 90 minutes, like they have shortened it, but so that and so many other things that we were dealing with, like I said, with all the illnesses and everything in our family, and so we actually said, because we were coming home to a house, we had the back of our house, I think, torn off, and we were in construction hell and chaos and taking care of a sick mother and all this other stuff and taking care of grandchildren. So we actually wound up staying an extra 2 days just to decompress after this weekend that I thought was going to be so peaceful. Like I said, like our senior year of high school, like just this quiet little retreat. And it was like, oh my gosh, I felt like we got run over by a truck. So we had to stay to recuperate for 2 days after.
We didn't even think of that. But it would have been very helpful, I'm sure.
Yeah. Now I hear that I still have to attend the more current weekend, and like I said, I hope I get around to, especially when we get our Indie Fathers in. But someone was saying too that there's even more emphasis about ways in which we can see and express feelings. Is that as distinct from the in the past format? Is that something that is happening now currently?
Well,
we haven't done it since 2000, and the last one we were on was 2003 with your parents, and so
Yeah.
we don't know what happens behind closed doors now. I mean, we go and schlep and we greet and we
Right.
do the sing out, do the mass on Sundays, but of course nothing's really, you're not supposed to talk about it, so we don't really know that aspect of it anymore.
Oh, okay. Well, Tony, do you know if things have changed much, or is that something that we want to keep so it's not a spoiler? Is that the idea? I think that's the idea, no?
Well, first of all, you had to write the talks, the famous talks. When 1990s, we were 15 talks, and I remember.
No. Yeah, that's for you. No, I'm talking about when the people are on the weekend. The experiences. Is there a format for that help to delve even more into the aspects of feeling than in the past?
Well, I suppose, but that's up to when you go home. You're supposed to do every day at 10 and 10. So with that, that's one of the best way to bring the feelings into the open for the two spouses. Yeah, that's a great tool. But guess what? From my experience here in the couples, after a while, a lot of those couples that have been encountered, they don't do 10 and 10 no more because they say, well, we don't have time to do so. And I would say, I don't want to blame one of the two spouses, but usually the woman, you are able to express your feelings and emotions any other minute. And then you cry a little bit about it, that makes you a woman. But for us men, it is a different story. I mean, and a lot of men, especially if they are young ones and they work full-time job somewhere, they want to go home. They want to eat and drink. They don't want to share their feelings and emotions of the day or the week. So actually, that's rough for the man to manifest, to bring into the open, in a verbalized them or written form, the emotions and the feelings which are there to be sure about it, but they are not able to manifest to them to the spouse because they say, I mean, this is just for me. I don't have to share it with her. I mean, even though she's my wife, but that's too bad. But the woman, she's ready to do so all 24 hours a day. But that's typical for the woman. The woman is gentle. The woman is ready to show emotions and feelings and cry about it or laugh about it, but not the man.
Yeah.
Actually,
well,
Father Ken, actually, I just thought of something. So even though we have not been behind closed doors on the weekends, what I do know is that when we did it, they did not have like follow-up books. But now, actually, the couples are given books that like kind of a day-by-day thing. I think it goes like 40 or 60 days or something like that. So, I believe you're probably right, or what you've heard, because I think it does really. I think those questions really do delve deeper and deeper into those kinds of things. And so I think that that extension of it, though we do have a young couple that just started, that you met, the Amy and Jake Hallisker, when you were at our
when I went to there, recently I was there visiting and got a chance to be part of the circle.
Yeah, and they actually commented that they both have full-time teaching jobs. They have two small little boys. They were finding it really, really difficult. So he did admit, mea culpa, mea maximum culpa, that they did not. I don't know that they're using this booklet that they were given. They just found it a little. Maybe a little overwhelming in terms of their time constraints. So yes, but I think that is the thing that they are doing now that they did not do back when Rose and Ken and we did our last weekend together.
And I'm sure, like anything that is given to us, there's all kinds of things that can help us in growing in our spiritual life. If we try to put them into practice, they will have a huge return. And the emphasis we're trying to show here is that marriage encounter, and the beauty and the richness that you get from the experience, is even better now with this updated program.
Mhm.
So, and we're not the, it's like a movie that you really want to see, and we're not giving you the whole plot. So you got to go and experience it, to really see the joy and the beauty that comes forth from this. And like Tony is saying, that the whole design is so that, especially for guys, to make that come forward, that opportunity to express those feelings, because if they are not expressed, then they are suppressed, and then they come out in an explosion later on, and it just makes life miserable and nothing can be understood. So that's why this is such a beautiful instrument or tool or gift. We wanted to say marriage encounter is a beautiful gift that really can make couples, good marriages, come alive. That's what we always say. This is, one of the biggest problems is like people think marriage encounter is for couples that are having some difficulties, and that's not the case. There is a program especially dedicated, and you can even see it on our website too, both marriage encounter and this special program called Retrovi. So if you see our website is nonnatus.org, NONNATUS.org. You see at the helpful resources page, you'll see all this wonderful stuff that we have that's available, and you see links there for marriage encounter and Retrovi. That program, Retrovi, are for difficult marriages that are facing difficulties. The marriage encounter is not for that. It's for ordinary couples so that they can deepen their experience and have a much richer experience in their married life. It was all for that, and such a wonderful thing.
And to follow up on you and Tony, that you being in our living room just last month, you heard how many men in that group said, "Well, I didn't really want to do this. I didn't really want to share my feelings.
Really
my
true.
wife
Yeah.
found it, and my wife talked me into going."
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, remember, you heard that a couple times from a young couple and an older couple, and yeah, so it's kind of across the board. Like, men didn't want to, have to share their
It's always a big challenge for us guys.
But it's supposed to be making good marriages better.
Exactly.
Right.
That's what marriage encounters for. Marriage encounters making good marriages, ordinary marriages, better, be on fire, thriving. And if there's some troubles or difficulties, then that's Retrovi. That's a separate program that's available there. So, our hope is that celebrating marriage, and that the bishops are encouraging us to celebrate marriage, that more and more people will see these beautiful ways in which it can be done.
Right. And
Thank you. I hate to interrupt everyone. We'll have to come back for maybe a part 2 if you all would be interested. Maybe we could do it in another month or something like that. But I hate to interrupt, but we're actually at 9 o'clock already. So I want to thank Ken and Rose and Barb and Pat and Father Tony and Father Ken. Thank you so much. And once again, for those who are listening, this will be on SoundCloud and on YouTube. And our website again, nonnatus.org, Philly Mercedarian on social media, and St. Ray Foundation. And DeSantis, I'm the director. Feel free to reach out to me, director.srnf@gmail.com. So would you have any final thoughts before we end? And remember, this will be on YouTube and SoundCloud. So make sure that I'll send you all the links. And then you can also take a look on social media, because I'll repost this afterwards.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Well, thank you, Anne, for all you do also.
Okay, I love you all. Good night.
Thank you.
Annie, St. Petersburg. Ciao, ciao, ciao.
Thank you so much.
We're gonna have a closing prayer there, okay?
Yeah.
Closing prayer.
Yeah.
All right. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Father in heaven, we thank you for this opportunity that you've given to us to share your many blessings in our lives, especially the gift of marriage encounter. We ask your grace continually to grow in our hearts and lives, the grace of your Son Jesus, who has redeemed us, that this grace may flourish, we may go stronger as followers of Christ, and especially in the marriage vocation. giving witness to the same love that Christ has shown to his church. And we ask this as in this prayer, we ask for this grace and this charity and this growth of virtue, but in the prayer of giving you praise as we say together. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning,
is now,
and will be forever.
Amen.
Amen.
Ciao,
And the
ciao.
Almighty
Good
God
night.
bless you, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Ciao,
Amen.
ciao, ciao.
Okay.
Good night. Good night,
We're-
everyone. Love you.
Good night,
Love you
everyone.
all.
Love you all.
Love you
Okay.
all. Pray for
Bye-bye.
missionary. Ciao, ciao,
Bye-bye.
ciao. Ciao,
Happy
Cleveland.
Mercy.
Ciao, Leroy. Ciao, Philadelphia.
Bye-bye.
Ciao, St.
Bye-bye.
Petersburg, Tampa. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.
Bye,
Bye.
Father Ken,
Bye.
and Pat Barb. Oh, thanks to God.